It's great. We can see you.
I'm in high def today.
Yeah, you're in HD. Well, Brandon, Carson, welcome. And we have a special guest today, a three-peat. Can you believe it? Alex Lowe, live from London, right?
We're not worthy.
Yeah, three-peat.
Repeat.
So you are our most repeated guest on Social Selling for Newbies. So
Backed by popular demand.
that's right.
Yeah, I think it's the good looks and the cool accent.
Don't talk about
We need good looks on the show as often as we can get.
That's true.
Yeah. So if you're on the chat or you're joining us live, jump in. Let us know that you're here, where you're from, and congratulate Alex on his three-peat. Alex, we'll talk a little bit about you and your background here in just a minute. But as you know, we have something else important to do here first, which is our weekly dad joke challenge. And Carson's been using his new Microsoft Copilot to find his dad joke. So we're going to let Carson go first this week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is an important part of the show. It's where we hope we don't scare everybody off with a bad dad joke. Yeah, today I used ChatGPT powered the new Bing search for the dad joke of the day. So why do frogs never park illegally? They're afraid of getting towed.
Man.
It was rough.
It's not bad though.
But it made me chuckle. It made me chuckle. See, that's my barometer of success.
All right, Brandon. Are you a little nervous after that?
I don't think I've ever been more confident, but we'll see how it goes. What has four wheels and flies?
The DeLorean from Back to the Future, right? Yeah. Which Brandon the guest star in.
How about a garbage truck?
Oh,
man. I'm going to go with Toad on that one. Sorry.
Yeah. Alex, what do you think?
I got a good shake of the head from Alex, at least.
Subtle. Well, can I go, or are you going, Tom?
Yeah. No, you go. I'm just here to moderate.
He referees. He tries to keep it from getting out of hand.
Yeah.
What do you call a three-legged donkey?
Unfortunate.
A wonky.
Wonky.
Alex wins.
All right.
The guest star wins.
By far. And you know what was great about that? That was one I hadn't heard before.
It's true. Yeah. Good to see Thomas out there. Brandon, Maria, Butch.
Yeah.
Butch is a constant. He's a mainstay.
And he's refrained from voting today, which I'm not sure is a good sign. But anyway, let's get on to a more exciting topic, which is what's new in LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Alex, I know you got some great stuff to show us and talk about today, but again, I know people know you already. Oh, thank you. I forgot we have a sponsor. This week, our sponsor, Brandon, is?
It is, you put me on the spot. It's Modern Seller HQ Corporate VIP program. It's the program where we work with teams on their social prospecting and social selling outreach cadences, all within the free community of Modern Seller HQ.
Awesome.
I got to be prepared to know that you're going to throw that back to me.
That's what I'm here to do. Just keep you on your toes. So well done. Yeah. Modern Seller HQ Corporate VIP. Check it out. There's some good data in there. Now let's go back.
We've got a dad joke from somebody in the comments that if they're going to throw a dad joke at us, we can't ignore it.
I think it's Thomas. He looks like he's LinkedIn user.
Yeah. So why don't eggs tell jokes?
I think it's about not getting cracked up, right?
Well, the yolk's on them.
All right. I think
we'll get to it. Let's get to Alex, more importantly.
Yeah. All right, Alex, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know after 3 times, everyone should know you, but what the heck?
What the heck, indeed. I'm Alex. I hang out on LinkedIn. Is that enough? No, probably not. I've been on LinkedIn for pretty much as long as LinkedIn's been around. And I've been on Sales Navigator pretty much as long as Sales Navigator's been around. and I help organizations build social and digital into their go-to-market strategy, underpinned by LinkedIn Sales Navigator, CRM, data. I'm now apparently a generative AI expert as well, based on the 3 reach outs I've had this week. Can you come and talk at an event? More recently, I'm now part of DCM Insights, which is an organization which has been born out of one of the co-authors of Challenger and Challenger Sale, and we are repurposing Challenger for professional services. And it's the first of its kind research that has been done, and there'll be a white paper coming out on October the 18th with Harvard Business Review, which will be profiling all of this. So that is me in a nutshell. This is me in a nutshell.
I think we may have negatively influenced Alex with our bad jokes.
So Alex, today we're going to talk about what's new in LinkedIn Sales Navigator. But, maybe for people who aren't Sales Navigator users, why don't we just, if you can take a second and explain what Sales Navigator is, how it differs from LinkedIn, and, Carson, I know you use it all the time. So, jump in on, what is the big benefit for people that don't use it?
Happy to take that, or Carson, you want to go first? I don't mind.
Please, lead us off.
So the simple way to think about Sales Navigator is that it's a CRM system for LinkedIn, and this is whether it's Sales Navigator Core or Advanced Plus. So on LinkedIn.com, you are at the mercy of the algorithm. You are only as good as your network, and there's a finite market and network you can get into. The beauty of Sales Navigator is there is no algorithm, there is no marketing, there is no anything, and in theory, it can give you access to all 930 million people on LinkedIn. And it'll be interesting to see when Microsoft release their year-end report as to do we get to 1 billion. I don't think we will, but I think we'll get close to it. So if you'd asked me 5 years ago, do you need Sales Navigator to execute social selling effectively? I'd have said it's a nice to have, but no, you don't. Do you need Sales Navigator to execute social selling effectively today? Yes, you do. It really is as simple as that. I have no commercial relationship whatsoever with LinkedIn. But the direction of travel that the platform is going, both in core and in advanced and advanced plus, is awesome. So the simple way to think about it is you would mirror how you go to market into Sales Navigator, which is split between an account, which is an account, and a lead, which is a person. So think of it as a person. That could be a person that you talk to every day, to a person that you want to get to know, to a person that is an influencer within an account, which could be the CEO, could be CFO, or someone's audience that you want to be visible in. The key thing is the more information you give Sales Navigator at an account level, and more importantly at a lead level, the more insight and data that you get. But the direction of travel that the platform is going around saved searches, how lead lists and account lists will help you manage your home feed in a far more effective way, Sales Navigator becomes the laser focused one-to-one targeting and conversation piece. LinkedIn becomes your one-to-many positioning piece, but then you set up the broader parameters in terms of your saved searches. It becomes, a co-pilot. It becomes a AI, loose terms, will come to that assistant that just works in the background for you, searching and moving through the network, and you get an email at the end of each week with a digest of this is what has happened across your book of business, across your key account program, across your industry, whatever definitions you've given it. The biggest mindset shift, and you have to say that very carefully at 8:20 on a Wednesday evening in the UK, is what to do with the data that it is surfacing. What's the next best action that is aligned to your overall go-to-market cadence, your overall go-to-market rhythm, and how do you build this into everything that you're doing? And for me, the biggest hurdle that I have to help organizations get over is that mindset shift around what do I now do with this piece of information that I now previously didn't have, that I now have? What's the next best action? Because everything you do through Sales Navigator still translates back onto LinkedIn from an algorithmic perspective. Every action creates a reaction, etc., etc. Core is brilliant for the solopreneur or the individual. Advanced and Advanced Plus for medium, large, and enterprise is starting to really move the needle around where they're going with Team Link Extend, relationship maps, AI, and intent data.
Wow.
So not much is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Just a
So Carson, does that align with how you use it, or do you see any additional benefits or differences between Navigator and standard core LinkedIn?
Yeah, I think Alex said it pretty brilliantly, and a couple of things that jumped out that he said that I wanted to enunciate, and then I'll point out a couple other key points. But the big one was and I do have a commercial relationship, obviously, so I want to call that out. And this isn't an endorsement, but I will say that the necessity of having Sales Navigator a few years back from a social selling perspective wasn't what it is today. There was a lot of the things that I did when I first started social selling that I was able to do with the free standard version of LinkedIn. What Sales Navigator has really done over the last few years has empowered you as a seller to curate the content that you need for what Alex is basically saying is actionable intel, starting to funnel up buyer intent based on how these customers are interacting with your company page, or showing that probability or propensity for someone to work with you. Furthermore, because you have the ability to kind of curate that feed around specific leads, around specific customers that you want to follow, or even just specific types of activity, mergers and acquisition, divestiture, new C-levels, all of those things arm you as a seller with, hey, this is something that I need to react and respond to. They've started to add additional filters, and we're going to talk about this more in some of the additional features, but things like personas, so that you can really look for a very specific target audience, director and above, or VP and above in certain cases, looking at that buyer intent. And then you get your customized feed or your customized email that's going to tell you, here are suggested leads based on your search. Here are things that we believe you should be reacting and responding to. The other things that I think are really value adds that have been added over the last few years are things like smart links. It used to have Point Drive, and then the smart links acquisition was baked into Sales Navigator. And what smart links does, and there's a lot of tools out there like this, but in essence, it gives you the opportunity to create content that you can share with customers or with other audiences and get telemetry based on who's viewed it, what did they view, how long did they view it. It can be very valuable if you're doing customized newsletters, which I often do. And then I can see immediately who opened this, who saw it. It will send me their LinkedIn page. I can share it with my team. Now we have an actionable lead and a higher propensity that person is going to react and respond. The last thing I would mention would be the social selling index. And we could debate the value of the metric itself, but I think what it does is the social selling index and the coach that's now built into Sales Navigator will often give you prompts that will help you further develop how you're leveraging Sales Navigator to your benefit. Everything is baked into the tool now that really makes it all the more advantageous for you to leverage it. And it is far superior to the experience of using LinkedIn Standard if you're a social seller.
And I'm admittedly not a Sales Navigator power user. I've used it some, but I think what I'm hearing you guys both say, when I think of Navigator, I tend to think of search, right? It's like a super search tool. But what I'm hearing you say is it's way more than a search tool. It's an automated kind of radar that's looking around based around the criteria that I specify, and then providing feed and data for me and doing work behind the scenes automatically to surface the people that I may want to talk to. Is that a legitimate comparison, I guess, from a non-power user?
Yeah, Tom, you could call it the drone of social selling.
Perfect. I think that's a new tagline.
If anybody's looking to coin that phrase,
yeah, I'm gonna go to the copyright right now and get that.
Yeah.
So, Brandon, are you a power user on Navigator, or are you kind of more like me?
Yeah, I'm more like you, and I mean, I like listening to Alex because I always can pick up the things that I want to use and need to use. I mean, my view over the years, and I think a lot of people listening might believe this too, or believe this to be true, is I always thought Navigator was so much more important for larger teams, especially some of the sharing capabilities and messaging with each other and being able to swarm and stuff like that. And I see Alex shaking his head now around that. But yeah, I use it for a lot of search. I use it for a lot of notifications. Um, I use it for my list to update those and use the list to target who I want to then talk to. But then I do a lot more of my engagement, especially from a commenting standpoint. I go straight into LinkedIn because I find so much value for me in commenting and building that rapport there. But Navigator helps me focus on who I want to engage with. And then LinkedIn is where I do most of it. But I'd love to hear at some point, Alex, what am I missing by doing that as an individual, not part of a large team?
So you're not missing anything, but you can comment on people's posts through Sales Navigator. And the point is that in LinkedIn you might miss stuff because of the way the algorithm behaves, doesn't behave, much debate around that. But in Sales Navigator, there is no algorithm. So if I say we're all connected on LinkedIn, right? But I don't necessarily always see what everyone's doing because it's busy and LinkedIn gets noisy. And yes, the public announcement was made, whatever, 3 weeks ago, and yada, yada, yada. We can debate that till the cows come home. But the point is, if I save all of you as leads in Sales Nav, I will never miss what you're posting as long as you're posting, and I can engage directly in Sales Navigator seamlessly. I mean, I'll share my screen and I will kind of show you in real time if my British Wi-Fi will allow me. And this is what people don't understand or kind of miss is they think it's search and that's it. So everything I'm seeing here is because I've told it that I want to see this stuff. So this is all corporate. But if I click on leads, now I'm seeing just people. And then if I click on lead alerts and I filter directly down to lead shares, so now I'm seeing posts of the CEOs. So this is large organizations, but ignore the fact these are CEOs. This could be in core doing exactly the same thing. So from here, I click view. This is the CEO of HSBC, but now it's showing me the LinkedIn post. Common internet. Let's work together on this one. Put some more pennies in the meter. So this is his post on LinkedIn. So I scroll down and I can drop a comment or a like directly from here. So in 5 minutes of spinning through a dedicated feed on my Sales Navigator feed, I can have really targeted and laser focused conversations with people that I want to. So from a CEO perspective, if you're a large organization, I would potentially then drop a comment on here if it's appropriate for me to do so, yada, 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 because the comment triggers a notification to all 96 people that have engaged with this post. So I'm hyper networking around the CEO's post and I'm putting my brand into their field of view. If I do a like, the same principle. But as far as the algorithm is concerned, this is happening on LinkedIn. So if I then post something on LinkedIn, I'm driving a higher propensity of my content to be put in the news feeds of the people that I'm engaging with. So it still drives. So I still may see their posts in LinkedIn.com, but I now have here a super easy list of my targeted audience that I want to engage with. Now, what LinkedIn and Carsten, you may have a view on what's going on here, because what LinkedIn did update in the dashboard is that based on your lead lists, and I'm lagging a bit, but I'll keep going, is that you can then filter this feed based on your lists. So you can then start to really narrow down, I'm only focused on this industry, this geography, this. and you can just spin through here and just have some in 10 minutes, 5 minutes of your life, bang, 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 done, and then you're off to the races.
Yeah. Alex is pointing out some real gems here, and some of the questions that are popping up in our chat are really central to, hey, is it worth the while to have Navigator? It sounds like the Navigator utilization isn't as consistent across the board, and I completely understand. I mean, if you'd have asked me the question even a year or 2 years ago, like Alex said, everything I was doing within core LinkedIn. But some of these additional things that are being added, like from a networking perspective, I often think about it from a right now, we've just started our new fiscal year, right? So I am in heavy prospecting mode. I picked up a bunch of new customers, and I'm using Navigator to go out, follow each and every one of these customer organizations. There are features that pop up within those pages, such as decision makers, and it will show all the people that have a title of director or above by default. It will suggest leads to you based on your searches. It will also give you team link suggestions. So it will show you everybody within your organization or within your network that might be, that might know someone or might be connected with someone within your target organization. Some of these things that are big time savers and that can point you into the direction of reaching out to these people. It's, when you're prospecting, you're obviously looking at, ways that you can do things very quickly and at scale. One of the other things, and I've talked about this on this show before, about 2 to 3 years ago, I had one of my specialists inside of Microsoft that recommended a LinkedIn automation tool for me called Octopus CRM. That is actually funneled 100% from Sales Navigator. So you can take customized Sales Navigator feeds, leads and accounts, and you can funnel them into this tool from a connection perspective, or if you're running a campaign, you're wanting to do a messaging campaign, you can leverage these LinkedIn automation tools because of Sales Navigator. And then the last thing I would point out about Sales Nav is, like, for instance, if I'm looking for a job and I'm wanting to go out and look at very specific profiles or size of organizations, there's a lot of back and forth because the systems talk to each other. So, if I go out to Sales Nav and I find these people out on Sales Navigator, with the click of a button, I can go to LinkedIn and back and forth. If I go to a LinkedIn company page, I can have it take me directly into Sales Nav and still be privy to all of those insights. It's really that 1-2 punch that I think makes it valuable for the sum of the parts, whether you're prospecting or you're looking for a job and looking to network. So hopefully that answers the question in the chat.
Yeah, and I would add, Alex, everything that you said about Navigator and being able to comment in there, totally agree with that. I think one of the weaknesses I've experienced with Navigator is it only alerts us when somebody actually publishes content. So when you're going after the CEOs of organizations or their company page or anything like that, absolutely. But we do know the data is 97% of people in LinkedIn do not publish on a regular basis. And so that's where I still use LinkedIn, because you can go to somebody's post activity page and you can see if they haven't posted for a month, you can go look at their comment and see what they've commented on or see what they've reacted to, liked. And then if you comment on those, it still works the same way that you were explaining. When you comment, everybody who's liked it and commented, it's going to get the notification. But I find when you're trying to prospect, mid-tier or upper mid-tier, maybe it's not the C-suite, and they're not publishing as much content, that's where finding who they are inside of Navigator, discovering that, well, they don't publish a whole lot, but then being able to go into LinkedIn and use that post activity option. And I find a lot more people are what we call active on LinkedIn. They're there, they comment, they like, but they post infrequently. And I expect that's going to increase with posts because of AI. But I think that's one thing for people, especially more SMB or if you're targeting mid-tier people. And then I think, Carson, with the automation tools, I still don't know where to really sit with all those, because they're very convenient. They help us a lot. But then you hear of, and I won't say their name, but you hear of one of the big, Octopus competitors that got a cease and desist from LinkedIn. There was a company before that out of Europe, Alex, you know who they are, that they were not only cease and desist, but they were forever banned from LinkedIn. And it's a really weird relationship because LinkedIn gives access to some of these APIs, but then they tell you don't abuse it, but yet they give you access to it for automation, and their T's and C's are very gray. So I think love the automation tools. You just, for everybody, be careful. I'm in a Reddit thread on LinkedIn, and it seems like most of the things that people comment are, I got suspended, what do I do?
Yeah. And, to pick up on your point, Brandon, and to pick up on Carson's point, it's the 1-2 punch. The two work symbiotically together. And I completely agree with you. Yes, there are, people don't publish on LinkedIn, and you can flip between the two. But the point is, and again, I'm going to share my screen, is that SalesNav makes this insanely, and this is SalesNav Core. So this is, even though I'm showing a corporate license here, this is SalesNav Core. I've got the new filters in here, so hopefully the new filters come through. But you just have this button here posted on LinkedIn. So I'm now looking at all of LinkedIn, and so you can very quickly identify the people that are active. And then I can go, okay, let's pick Microsoft for example. So I go Microsoft straight out the gate. And so very, very quickly, SalesNav with a single toggle can then help me identify all the people that are posted on LinkedIn. I click on post on LinkedIn, and then you can engage. So it's around and this is the same whether you're, and bearing in mind, I'm an SMB. I'm a single solo entrepreneur. I am me. I happen to sell into large organizations because that's where my sweet spot is. But even if I was selling into SMB, I would still take this exact same approach, because you have your champions within an organization. So Sales Navigator can help you map and understand that and start to figure that all out. And then it's around manipulating is the wrong word, but it's using the data or asking the right questions of. So I could go, okay, Microsoft posted on LinkedIn, and I want to see who's specialist in ESG. So I type in ESG in the keyword, and narrow down to 114 people posted on LinkedIn. Click on here. I can then very quickly, if I click on this, I'm now moving back to linkedin.com, and this would be the start of my outreach. This would be the start of the social selling, if you will, is that I could drop a like or a comment on this post, but let's just drop a like for this, boom. So until this moment in time, Brandon didn't know I existed as a human being. Now Brandon knows who I am. And that's taken the best part of 10 seconds to move through it. So this comes back to the point of shifting that mindset and that thought process around, and this is sales more broadly, right? And this is the narrative that's coming more broadly out of sales. You know what you know because you are going through what you know based on your experience and perception of LinkedIn. And it comes full circle. And Carson was talking about this. A lot of what I have to do is reset everybody's perception of what LinkedIn is today versus what you believe it to be, but believe it was to be. I'm tired. Once you've got that reset of LinkedIn, then you layer Sales Navigator, and then I like that 1-2 punch that Carson was saying. The two have to work hand in hand, because you need to understand that what I'm doing on here is still translating back here, and vice versa. So core is, for 700 sterling a year. I don't know what that translates into US. Subject to, I'd imagine, the majority of your listeners, whatever they sell as a product or a service, one deal will pay for Sales Navigator Core and some. As you move into the enterprise, where it starts at $1,000 per annum per license, it's cheap as chips, as we say in the UK, and it scales. This stuff pays for itself 10x, 20x, 30x, but you've got to shift that thought process of, why am I on here? What am I doing? And what's the outcome I'm trying to achieve by this engagement? And then, we got time, we can go into the intent data, which is only available in advanced and advanced plus. And it's probably only really applicable to kind of the mid-market, certainly through to enterprise. But I defer to Carson on that, because he'll see more on his side being part of the machine that is Microsoft.
Yes. So let's I mean, this is really interesting to me as truly a newbie, right? I really feel like here I am as LinkedIn navigator, sales navigator for newbies, and really trying to understand all of this from the three power users here. Here's what I'm hearing, and please correct me if I'm wrong. Number one is the core LinkedIn, as you said, Alex, you don't control necessarily what you see on your feed, right? You may have some influence on it, but you're not controlling what you're seeing on your feed. Where when you go into Navigator, you're basically creating your own feed. You're creating the feed that matters to you based on your business and what you're doing. So that's a big, again, I don't know if mindset is the word you use, Alex, or just kind of a awareness of the difference between the two. Because again, I know I have not used Sales Navigator as a, how do I build my own custom feed? When you start thinking about that, you start to look at some of the potential there. Obviously, we've talked forever on this show about the importance of commenting. I think, was it last week, Brandon, that we did commenting styles and just the value of commenting in general as a social selling, modern selling strategy. So we certainly have talked tons about that. And what I'm hearing again, everyone say is that by using Sales Navigator combined with Core, I can really even turbocharge how I'm doing that. You throw in fist bumps, like, Brandon. Now I'm really turbocharging my outreach with my commenting and my relationship building, not only with people that are in my feed because they're connected, but the people I want to reach. Is that, if just stopping right there, is that the right takeaway as a newbie that I should be getting?
Absolutely. And what I would add to that is everything you do in Sales Navigator comes full circle, triggers the algorithm in LinkedIn.
Right.
So
No, so you're definitely
people to your feed.
Yep.
So when you then post consistently 5 times ideally 5 times a week at least, or 7 times a week, 7 to whatever, I'm tired again. You are then triggering a higher propensity. There's no guarantee, but a higher propensity that your post will then land in their news feeds. And the beauty with Sales Navigator, you could be second, third, fourth removed, but as far as they're concerned, notwithstanding Brandon, absolutely your point around the people that are active, but if your core audience isn't active, I then go and find who are their influencers, who's in their world. So what I do, if I'm starting to prospect an organization and conversations have started, I will then go and find all the senior people in Sales Navigator, find the people that are active, and go and like and comment all their posts. Because I want to create that social proximity around them. So when my name is mentioned, and I'm not a Microsoft, I'm not a PwC, I'm not a Google. When Alexander Lowe is mentioned in a business meeting, I know Alex. Why do I know Alex? I'm not sure. But the guy that you've mentioned, I'm aware of him because he's in my sphere.
It's a far more focused and time-saving way of using LinkedIn. And I'll give you one last example. No matter what role you're in, you're going to need to utilize these tools in order to connect with people. Over the last couple of years, we were hiring a lot of people, and I leveraged Sales Nav in order to go out and look at very specific job titles, keywords that were in profiles, people that were working at certain sizes of organizations, people that might have worked for partners of ours. And I had the ability to do that within seconds, pull the list, and then I could obviously toggle back and forth with LinkedIn, but I could leverage those searches to find really high profile outputs for recruiting, and manage to fill almost a dozen interview loops with candidates based on just my own Sales Navigator searches. Geographically, looking for a specific type of candidate and keywords, it enabled me to have a much more focused utilization of LinkedIn. That's what it does, from a curation of your posts and content in your feed, all the way to however you leverage LinkedIn. It will help you be more focused and save time.
Yeah, and can I add this too? And Alex mentioned this earlier, and I think it's worth pausing. It's all a mindset shift. Like everything social selling has to start from a mindset shift, in my opinion, because it's different than the cold outreach. It's different than those sequences, cadences, whatever, where we're trying to interrupt. The mindset here is that shift of how are we going to use this data to, as Alex was saying, to get ourselves introduced into their vision introduced into their network, introduced into their scope of network online. How do we use all these different tools in order to align ourselves with what our buyers are doing, not try to come along and sideswipe them and demand their attention?
Yeah, within seconds, you can go out and find who follows your company or who follows a certain keyword or who fits the exact profile of your target buyer. That's a big time saver, and you can go out and connect with them very quickly.
Well, and you're going to get more relevant, ideally more relevant conversations because you're doing your homework, right? And you've talked a lot about that as well. I just wanted to point out one thing that Alex, that you mentioned, and then I want to make sure we have time to jump into some of the new and cool features that are coming. But, by again, sort of turbocharging what you're doing here. And I know the algorithm has had a lot of changes on core LinkedIn pretty recently, but it seems like Alex, you mentioned you have an opportunity to potentially, this may be an overstatement, but juice the algorithm a bit because in your favor, because you're doing more, you're getting more out there, getting more things in place, and then you have a higher probability of showing up on those feeds. So probably no way to prove that, but it's logical, right? If you think about it, if you're doing more, then you're likely going to get exposed more.
Well, qualitatively, if you will, and we can't prove it, but qualitatively, there's enough LinkedIn trainers, coaches out there that will verify things like that. And I've seen it too. You start commenting on posts, your published post starts showing up in those people's news feeds because the algorithm sees you connected. You're out commenting on things that they're doing. The algorithm sees you connected. It doesn't see it as one way versus the other. It sees you connected. And LinkedIn's algorithm is motivated to show people content they're more likely than not to engage with or like, so they keep coming back. So we can call it juice, hack. I hate the word hack, but kind of, motivate the algorithm based on our activity that we can actually control.
Yeah, let's take Shivang's questions here real quick before we go to, are there any best practices on the types of posts we post 5 times a week? I want to make the items I post to be value add, but shy away from being repeating content, which limits the amount of content I can churn. Alex, any take on that or best practice?
There is no right or wrong answer to this, and this is why I kind of get frustrated with what to do, when to post, how to post, this and that. The key thing is just LinkedIn is becoming more human. So the way that I think about it is you are having Shivang, you're having conversations with your clients every single day, your prospects every single day. So think about reflecting on a conversation, really interesting conversation with a client in this industry about this problem. This is what we discussed. What do you think? The key thing about LinkedIn is a social network. So focus on the social bit. That's what people, I think, it's a business platform. You can't be this, you can't be that. I'm not saying go all Facebook. So think about how you can translate some of the conversations you're having on a daily basis into a question. You can have a bit of fun, have a bit of humor. If you said to me 5 years ago, should I post GIFs or memes on LinkedIn? I'd have said no. Yeah, look what's happening. As long as there's context to it. And if you're really struggling with what to post, what I encourage my clients to do and people I work with lawyers, I work with accountants, I work with very high risk introverted individuals, is imagine you are writing an email or a WhatsApp to your best client. Yeah. Visualize them, have them in your mind, see them, write for them. And if they are a CMO, CTO, CIO, general counsel, managing director, owner of a business, you are writing for that persona of individual. And Carson's mentioned Sales Navigator has personas because they recognize that we sell to personas. And don't focus on posting 5 times a week. If you move from 1 to 2 posts a week, that's a good step. Mm-hmm. I've been in this game for however long I've been in this game for, too long to say. I have moments of, Christ, I can't think what to post today, so I won't post. I won't post for the sake of posting. If I've got nothing of use to say, and I'm solo parenting at the moment, my wife's overseas, I've got an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, I'm running my own business. It's busy, so don't beat yourself up on I've got to do everything perfectly. It's the cliche of Dave Brailsford, UK cycle coach for Sky. It's marginal gains. You can do a couple of percentage points of everything a little bit better, a little bit more each day. The rest will come. And back to Carson's point, that's where Sales Navigator, not the posting bit, but everything else just makes this so goddamn easy to do. So Shebang, I hope that answers your question.
Can I add to that too? Is I struggled with this early on with posting. Is I felt like once I posted something, I probably shouldn't say it again because I already said it once. And I mean, social media has a short memory. You know, it's I think when Red was our guest a while ago, and he kept doing 5. He's got 5 things he talks about, and he just goes through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, and he just keeps repeating because you're always gathering new followers, and the algorithm doesn't show everything to everyone. And so get your message focused and go ahead and repeat. You're going to say it slightly different anyway. I like what Alex said. If you get an email and you respond to somebody, that's content. Turn that into a post. Like one of my favorite ones to get people started is take any question that somebody's asked you, a customer, business relevant, and turn that into a post. I was asked this question, da-da-da. This is important because, da-da-da. Here's 2 things or 3 things you should think about if you've asked this question. Really, really simple. Any salesperson, any business leader in any industry can do that. Just start there and start moving.
Yeah, I'd call out the fact that, as we've said before on this show, and Shivang, we've got some previous episodes that really broaches a lot of the commenting piece. Commenting or making the posts is not the most important thing. It's going out and commenting on people's posts and engaging that way. But if you're posting every day, which, there is some merit to posting frequently, the key element is the algorithm really likes I started a new job or project. I post a picture with some quality content behind it. I make a post that keeps people on LinkedIn. So I post some provocative, thought-provoking things that are on LinkedIn that prompt people to answer a question. And all the while, it's also very important that you're responding to the comments that come through. That will continue to funnel the algorithm on those types of posts. And then after that, it would be like a blog or a link that would take you to a third party. Some of the ones that don't get as much engagement for me are, some of the, like, if I'm sharing like a YouTube link or something else that takes them away from LinkedIn, those don't get as much play. But if you focus on, kind of cycling, as Brandon mentioned, one other thing that I have had a lot of success with lately is even taking and repurposing old blogs, funneling them into ChatGPT and having them call out like maybe 1 or 2 lines or insights, or even asking ChatGPT to give me ideas for what I could post about that day. And I can write a post about that organically. So hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah. Frederick, and there's another question here I wanted to jump in. Frederick asked, can you expand on how Sales Navigator, easier for me to say, helps provide this context? Is there anything that you think, that Sales Navigator can help with as it relates to your post, or is it just better to follow what Brandon was just saying, which is make sure you understand your kind of key topics, your core topics, and go from there? Any quick thoughts on that? I really want to make sure we have time for some of the new features, but would love your guys' quick thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, Sales Navigator can help you give context in terms of what your ideal audience is posting and talking about, but it's not going to help you understand what posts to craft. There's a brilliant website called answerthepublic.com, which you get 1 search a day for free, and you can type in a keyword and it'll tell you how people are searching those questions on Google. We have this thing called ChatGPT. We have Bing Chat, so you can go in there and ask it to give you some frameworks to work with. I don't advocate using pure AI generated posts, but you can use it as a foundational piece to create content. The Sales Navigator can help you listen and see what your audience is talking about, because as I showed you, it shows you what people are posting. But the key thing, as Carson's talked about, as Brandon's talked about, is be yourself, be human. And don't feel you have to post for the sake of posting. And picking up on the comments piece, I've just seen a post today where someone, a lady called Gillian from LinkedIn Marketing, has expanded on the update 3 weeks ago, where Dan Roth and Zhang from the engineering team. This is to combat pods. They are now looking, comments need to be basically sentences. They can't be thanks for sharing, interesting, great, because they now know that that purely is gaming the system. So to Carsten's point, add a comment that creates conversation, and that in of itself is a post. That's what you need to think about. A comment on a well-constructed comment with purpose and intention is a post in of its own right. And yes, repurpose stuff, rejig stuff, turn long form, short form, all this kind of stuff. And there's loads of technology which can help you do that. But I'm conscious of time and getting into the shiny stuff.
Well, and as we kind of move into that, let's pick, if you guys can think about one thing that's either new in Sales Navigator, or maybe is overlooked, right? Not commonly used, something that really could move the needle that you would recommend. And we'll kind of end off with that, because I think this has been super helpful, I think, to even take a step back and understand the bigger picture of Sales Navigator. I wish we would retitle this to say the Sales Navigator, the big picture. And we'll have to have you back for a fourth time, Alex, where we can get more into some of the new features. But what is something that jumps out that really, again, is kind of either overlooked or new or in Sales Navigator?
I try and do this with two lenses. I'll try and do it with core, and I'll try and do one with advanced plus. So core for me, where's the share screen? This is also what blows people's minds. So you can do this in core. If you haven't got the new filters, your past company will down in spotlights down here. The past company. So if I just type in, let's just click Microsoft. So this is alumni. This is either alumni of the organization that you work at if you're largish or large, or where have your existing customers now gone to? So you set up past company, you build out your profile in terms of function, job title, keyword, what have you. So let's stick with ESG, for example. So imagine that Microsoft or company ABC is currently your best client, and you sell to ESG solutions or equivalent. Well, now there are 1,000 people on LinkedIn who have got ESG in their profile that used to work at Microsoft or company ABC, your best customer, and they used to work for your best customer. And then you save this as a search, and then you're off to the races. But now you've got a lead list of, hey, you used to work for Microsoft love us, we sell to ESG, can we have a conversation? So you can, the past company alumni look up in core, everybody can do. The other aspect from a enterprise level, and literally as we've been doing this live, I love LinkedIn, I've now lost I've lost the account hub, is this in terms of intent data. So what LinkedIn is now serving to you is you save your list of accounts. This is going to be more relevant to medium, large, and enterprise. So here, high buyer intent, which is company page visits, profile views, and if you've got LinkedIn Insights Tags Manager, website views. So Amazon is showing high intent towards this license, and category intent. So I've got loaded CRM, sales intelligence, and sales training. This is beta. So what this is saying is that these people at Amazon, if I click on the 1,000 employees, if I go to the 413, so these 413 people at Amazon, based on LinkedIn's, this is a different algorithm, and they're very coy at the moment about how this is working. These 413 people have expressed buyer interest in CRM. The art is not to tap up Janet and go, Janet, LinkedIn's telling me you want to buy CRM. I've got CRM to sell you. It's the art. And it's posted something on LinkedIn. I might have a route in, there might be a connection, there might be all these different things. So this buyer intent piece and this category interest piece, which they put 30,000 products and services into Sales Navigator. So I'm waiting for the screen to catch up so it shifts on screen. Shift. It's not moving. God damn it. There are 30,000 products and services that LinkedIn have now put into Sales Navigator, which you can search on. I'm taking it with a big pinch of salt at the moment, but LinkedIn has, they said this publicly, their AI will get better and get more improved in terms of how this works. If you then have CRM sync, if you have other technologies coming into this, Team Link, which we can talk to from another perspective, this is going to be, and a lawyer corrected me in terms of my language here. I said this becomes an unfair advantage for sales teams, especially mid to enterprise. He said, no, it's a clear advantage. Sales teams that have Sales Navigator at scale at enterprise, that know how to use it and manipulate it and leverage the data and insight as part of a broader go-to-market structure, cadence, rhythm, and can have that social mindset, will, in my view, absolutely clean up.
Wow. I don't, Carson, I don't know how you can add on top of that, but
yeah, mine are brief. I love that Alex talked so much about the buyer intent and how AI is going to continue to, really give us signals on, which customers are going to have a higher propensity to engage and what customers are interested in. I think, the biggest thing that jumps out for me is really just one that's probably overlooked a lot, and it's Team Link. Team Link, especially working at a larger organization, it gives me the opportunity to see anybody in my entire company that is connected with an executive at a target prospect. We had a scenario about a year ago where we were having a lot of trouble making inroads in with the customer executive. But Team Link actually showed me one of my colleagues that was connected to them. I scheduled a call with this colleague. They armed us with the information that we needed, that this person was really interested in engaging at a very high level historically. So we actually got one of our senior executives, brokered a meeting with that senior executive. They broke bread. And a few months later, we had a nice 9-figure deal. So, Team Link works great. I love the coach aspect as well, which, there's a lot of intuitive features to Navigator. And that's what I like so much about it, is it will really arm you with what you need to get the most out of Navigator.
And those are features, Carson, that are on the enterprise level version, right? Those are not in the
That's
core.
correct.
And I know we're way over time a little bit, or maybe over time here, but one quick question. Would you recommend for a small company, Alex, you said you're a small company, investing in some of these more enterprise tools and getting to know them and use them? I mean, what I'm hearing is it doesn't sound like it's overkill. It sounds like there's some really, really great capabilities that, to Alex, your point, can give even that smaller sales team a bit of that unfair advantage. I mean, what's your quick take on that?
So I'm me. I have Core, the license I'm shown, because I do so much work with LinkedIn. That's a LinkedIn demo license.
Okay.
And then LinkedIn customers. So from a cost-effective perspective, you're not going to get the level of intense signals as a small business, because you're just not going to have that volume of traffic. So I would say no. Get Sales Nav Core, which is 700 sterling a year, whatever that translates into US. That does more than enough to get you off to the races. If you are an organization which is, I don't know, Carson, I'm guessing 200, 300, 400 employee size, that's then when enterprise starts to make sense. Even if you have 10 salespeople, to Carson's point, you can then connect everybody into that organization. So the biggest project I've worked on was 1,000 seats, MRSS, so Dynamic Sales Nav SKU, in a 3,000 employee company with 1,000 networks that we were sharing. There's the LinkedIn have done a case study on this. We had just shy of 1 million unique referral points on LinkedIn.
Wow.
So 1,000 networks opened up 1 million unique referral points.
Wow.
So you can start to see organizations that start to have 2, 3, 4, 5, and all I just have is 6,000 licenses. Actually, from what Carson was talking to, and I appreciate this probably isn't relevant to your audience, you don't need to social sell. You just need to go, holy, not going to swear, Brandon, You're connected to that person. Yeah, I play golf with them. I was at college with them. Yes, godson, godparent, this, that. Can you facilitate an introduction? Bang. Yes. But then you have to go on and close the deal. This is the biggest thing about social selling. This is return on opportunity. It's about creating pipeline of opportunity, but you're creating a much more effective pipeline because you're getting that introduction point. You're shortening your sales cycles, but you then still have to go on and rubber meets the road, right? and do the deal and do the selling. Hence, back to my earlier point, organizations that start to adopt this mindset, adopt this technology, work with Microsoft and their supporting partners to do this will clean up, because you don't social sell. You just go, my God, you're connected to them. Please introduce me.
No, amazing. Alex, I know if people want to get in touch with you, they know where they can find you on LinkedIn. Thank you. Some amazing insights and knowledge bombs today. So you definitely set the bar for your three-peat. Start working.
One more thing to do all of you have Sales Navigator? Carson, you do.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we do.
All of us have the ability to refer 10 licenses for free for 2 months to any of your listeners, provided they haven't had any premium service in the last 12 months. So if any of your listeners watching this would like to trial Sales Nav Core for free for 2 months, all of us have got 10 referral licenses within Sales Navigator to provide that. So I'm happy to. I think I've got 4 left in mine. I'm guessing Tom and Brandon probably have 10.
Yes.
You're nodding as if you
Yes.
as if you know this. And Carson, I don't know how many you'll have in your license, but every single Sales Nav license holder on the planet has the ability, whether it's individual core, to refer 10 licenses. So my offer to your audience, if you haven't had premium in the last 12 months, connect with me. I'll refer you a license.
Yeah,
Heck of an offer.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
All right. Well, we have some interesting stuff coming up here, to say the least, in the next few weeks. Next week, we're going to talk a bit about what's coming in what we're calling season 2 of Social Selling for Newbies, and some of the guests and things that we're going to talk about. Alex, I know you'll be back for number 4 sometime next season. So appreciate your time. And also, Brandon alerted to me that we hit this week the top 25% of all podcasts on the audio podcast. So we're really wanting to push to get to 10%, the top 10%. If you can go to Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, subscribe and put in a rating, it would help a lot. That would really, really help a lot. We really want to.
I got to ask though, did we get Brandon's contract renewed for season 2? I know he was.
It's been really dicey. It's been dicey. Yeah, it's been dicey.
I know he was in some tense negotiations. I hope we get him back.
Oh gosh.
On a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, he might just not be here one day. That could happen. So
we can't have that.
Are you gonna take me out at the knees or something?
Just don't recast him. That's my only ask. Don't recast Brandon.
Brandon's gonna disappear. Yeah. Hey, on that too, for everybody, especially those on the podcast, screen capture it, send it to a friend, send it to somebody you think could find value in it. I think especially we've gotten much more tactical over the last several months, and then going into season 2, we've got big names that want to come be a part of it now. It's very exciting and humbling.
Yes. So check us out. Thanks again, Alex. Carson, take us home.
All right. Thank you, Alex.
Yes. Thank you, Alex. Thank you all for being on today. And until next time, happy social selling.